Jared Kushner's sister courting investors in China with a federal visa program. She was in China on Sunday seeking $150 million from investors interested in what are called EB-5 visas. That's a program that grants permanent residency in the U.S. for those who finance projects at a certain level of investment, creating a certain amount of jobs in the United States. Let's bring back Abby Phillip, David Gregory, and bring in CNN political analyst David Drucker. So, Brother Gregory, how do you see this? The plan is legit. She wasn't trying to entice. She was enticing by doing this. What do you make of it? Is it a conflict of interest, business as usual, or this new conflation of those two things?
Well, no, I think it is. It's the new business as usual, which is you have a vast family business that encompasses two different, related businesses that are at work seeking to profit off the presidency. It's really unseemly, and there has not been anywhere near the kind of work to be done to shut this down. And I think there's got to be vigilance on the part of the press corps and others to catalog this and stay on top of it. It's like the tax returns, where we just have a reality of a business that is in effect part of the presidency as they do business around the world.
Abby, just to be clear, ethics laws prohibit government officials from profiting personally from their public sector work. But what does that mean for Jared Kushner's sister?
Nothing.
Right, and what does it mean for both Jared Kushner's family's business, but Ivanka Trump's business, and even Donald Trump's business, which are not even really an arm's length away from these officials. They are being run by other people in their stead, but they're still profiting in the long run off of those companies. And so what we've seen is people like Ivanka, or like Jared's sister, going about their daily business, but not even kind of doing a wink and a nod, but really just pointing over there and saying, hey, my brother's father-in-law is the president of the United States. And meanwhile, 24 hours prior, President Trump signed basically an extension of this visa program, which had been really a lot of people calling for reforms to it for many, many years. And he just signed an extension to it just 24 hours before this presentation happened. So it's a big problem, and it's a problem across the Trump family. Ivanka Trump, Trump's sons who are now running his business. These businesses are not there's no protection here for taxpayers and for Americans who want their public officials to not be profiting in the long run or in the short run from their political office.
Just to be clear, not just the taxes, but do you remember that big table with all the folders on it that showed that Trump's assets were being refiled and he was being... Right. We have no proof to this day that all that paperwork was even filed. So,
and they acknowledged that the paperwork was not even real, that it was just a prop.
Well, that was a prop, but supposedly they were going to do it. So you have to go to these different secretaries of state and do these things. Young lawyers like I used to be, if they got paid, it was like 50% of the job. So we don't know. But David, the Republicans will say this is a nothing burger. This is, everybody knows that these are business people. That's what they voted for. They want this acumen. But if that's true, to Abby's reporting, why at that event where Kushner's sister was soliciting money, did they keep journalists out?
Well, because it bothers them, and they don't like the connection being broadcast for everybody to see. Look, this is so interesting, and it's a great example of how politics is so situational. Republicans, in part, won the White House because of unflattering reporting about Hillary Clinton and her family's foundation, and the access that foundation had to the government while she was Secretary of State, a lot more extensive than people realized at the time. And what kind of access would her family foundation have if she won the White House? Remember, the Republicans in Congress promised that the investigations out of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, and I'm sure Energy and Commerce and everywhere else, were going to continue if she won the presidency. There were a lot of conservative outside groups that were prepared to launch these investigations. But this is what happens when you have, number one, a president with current business operations. We really haven't seen this before. Usually we will get wealthy people in office. They've sort of receded from their business career.
Right.
We've never had a situation like this. And even though the president likes to say that he is now president focused on that and his family is separate, We know that isn't the case, and part of the reason that isn't the case is because his sons who are running his family business are active. Donald Trump Jr. is headed to Montana this week to campaign for Greg Gianforte, the Republican in the special election campaign out there. And my only point there is they are active political players in the Republican Party and as members of this administration, and they haven't done anything vis-a-vis a blind trust or anything to cut the cord and say we're going to keep the business operational, but we are going to step away from making decisions on a daily basis. They just haven't done that.
Can we just also insert Hillary or Bill Clinton's name into any one of these scenarios, as David is alluding to, and see how Republicans in this town would be acting? I mean, these are the people who accused them of murdering, Vince Foster being murdered, all these conspiracy theories that were involved with Whitewater, the whiff of pay to play with regard to the foundation, and yet they just kind of hang back here on Trump.
Panel, thank you very much.